I'm Valerie Hill-Jackson, Clinical Professor of Educator Preparation in the College of Education and Human Development at Texas A&M University. As America's classrooms become increasingly diverse, the portrait of the American school teacher remains white, female, and monolingual. Today's teachers do not reflect the beautiful diversity of the United States. Black women teachers, in particular, are drastically underrepresented. Of the 3.5 million teachers, only 17% are teachers of color. Black women represent roughly 5%. While there is a demographic gap in the teaching workforce, the real problem is the representation gap. In other words, the number of Black women teachers is not proportional to the number of learners of color in America's classrooms. To understand this shift, we should examine the 3 phases of Black education in our nation's history: Reconstruction, Integration, and Exodus. In 1865, the Civil War ended and the American slaves were emancipated. This marked the beginning of Black education and the Reconstruction phase. The American educational system reacted with a split educational system: separate schools for whites and separate and insufficient schools for freed slaves. While employment opportunities were scarce in the Black community, the demand for Black educators was overwhelming. Teaching became one of the few professions accessible to Black women in the late 19th through the mid-20th century following emancipation. The 1954 Brown versus Board of Education decision marks the start of the integration phase for African Americans into schools in the United States. During the Civil Rights Movement, Black women teachers became highly admired leaders and planted the seeds of the Civil Rights Movement through their incredible influence within the Black community. Leaders like Dr. Lily Mae Carroll Jackson. This unsung civil rights leader headed the Baltimore chapter and ran the state division of the NAACP from 1942 until her retirement in 1962. As president, Dr. Jackson led the NAACP to win a Court of Appeals decision allowing the admission of Blacks to the University of Maryland. She was the driving force for the placement of Blacks on the police force. She helped to desegregate swimming pools, and she fought to equalize the salaries of Black and white teachers in Maryland. Dr. Jackson also spearheaded the fundraising for the Brown decision. Dr. Jackson, like many of the female leaders during the height of the Civil Rights Movement, was a community asset, and it is no accident that she was also a teacher. But the Brown ruling did not immediately open school doors for Black children and took decades to realize. School districts pushed back against Brown through the 1970s and the early 1980s. If Americans did not want Black children integrating into their schools, why would they want Black teachers? By 1965, over half of the 90,000 Black teachers in the South had lost their jobs. Brown had become the flashpoint for the representation of Black teachers in America. The Exodus phase is defined as the mass departure of Black women teachers from teacher education since the 1970s. Since Brown versus Board of Education, other effects have added to the decline of Black women teachers. First, there was a lack of interest by Black women due to decades of employment discrimination. Second, we have a leaky pipeline. There is a lack of recruitment among high school students and attrition in colleges of education. Third, Black women have more employment opportunities. The women's rights movement opened the door to alternative employment options. And fourth, Black teachers in large urban and suburban districts were displaced due to new educational reforms and new requirements in teacher education. Despite our history, we can and we must be intentional about the representation within the teaching force in the United States. Every type of American must help prepare the students across our diverse nation. Teachers are symbols of care and authority, and their presence sends an unspoken message about democratic participation in the United States. A child who is fortunate to have teachers who are Black, white, Latino, GLBTQ, and who speak a different language is preparing to interact with the world. The diversity in our amazing country is one of our greatest strengths, and this diversity must also be represented in America's teaching workforce.